Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Alain. Appreciate everybody that joins, comments, shares, listens to replays, listens to the podcast, wherever you listen to it. Thank you to all of you. I'm here with the University of Pennsylvania mug this morning, a place I like to travel to. My wife and I enjoy traveling to Pennsylvania with my daughter. Sadly, this month we're not taking the trip to Pennsylvania and New York City like we originally planned, and that's due to the cancer and the chemotherapy and all of that. Second chemotherapy session today. I won't be staying with my wife, my daughter, who's home for a couple of weeks. She's actually going to stay with my wife during the session today because you're only allowed one visitor when they're administering. So my daughter's going to do that today. It's the second out of 16 times we'll have to be going there and having the drugs put in. So hopefully she will get through it good and not feel too bad today and the rest of the weekend. It's always worse right after the treatments, like the day after and so forth. And it just goes up and down. If you or someone that you know is going through it, I'm here for you to support you, just like so many people are supporting us. And I really appreciate everybody that's doing that. Now, something safety related that I wanted to talk to you about today. I read this article. This happened a week or two ago, here in August. And it was a Delta flight, and a family. They were in an airport. And this person was sort of weird. They got some funny vibes from this person. When they got on the plane, that person got on the plane and sat close to them, and they got some funny vibes from this person, and they reported it to the flight attendant. That person wasn't even supposed to be on the plane. Didn't have a ticket for that plane. They were escorted off. Investigation happened. He did have a valid ticket for another flight, proper ID with that ticket. So getting through TSA, they didn't do anything wrong. He had a ticket. He had an ID, matched the ticket, didn't have any weapons or anything that he wasn't allowed to take in with him. Now, they believe there was some kind of mental illness going on with this individual. Okay. There's a lot of mental illness that goes on. And sadly, because of a lot of the mental illness that goes on, violence happens, killings happen. So just because it's mental illness, we can't just excuse it and forget about our safety and security. Now, normally, when you're inside an airport, past the TSA, it's fairly safe environment. However, you do need to be careful for theft. I've said before, you can get a ticket pretty cheap. Sometimes they have deals where, I could get a ticket from some big airports to other big airports less than $100. So I buy this really cheap ticket. I'm in the airport wandering around with my empty bag, carry-on bags, looking for unsuspecting people not paying attention. Could I swipe me a phone, a laptop, couple laptops, an iPad, something else that might be valuable? Pretty easy. You could fill your bag with valuable stuff and leave and make way more than the cost of that ticket. Okay. Is that happening? I don't know for sure. I don't have any proof of that, but I'm just saying it's pretty simple to figure out and do. I've seen a lot of things as I go through airports because I'm paying attention, things that I could take because people were ignoring them and people were not paying attention. Sometimes I take pictures and videos of stuff and post and say, look at this guy left this unattended. Somebody could have easily walked off with it. So we need to be aware of that kind of thing. But usually when we're inside, that's the kind of theft, or crime we might have is the theft, not necessarily acts of violence. Where you may have more violence and where we've seen like shootings and so forth are outside of the TSA, where you have your baggage claims, where you're going in and out. because those are not checked and people can bring weapons and so forth. And we've seen shootings in those areas. But once you're through the TSA, the likelihood of a shooting or so forth is minimal, but the theft and such is greater. But we still want to pay attention to different strange people, like this lady did with the family and reported it. And he shouldn't have been on that plane. Now, mistakes happen. Now, I don't know why, because he shouldn't have been allowed on that plane. And Delta is investigating it and to try to find out, because it was a Delta flight, to see what went on and why he was allowed on the plane, because it shouldn't have been. Now, I fly Delta all the time, and Delta has been very good to me. But if you remember, a couple of years ago, my wife and I were going to Vegas, got on the plane here, got an upgrade. We flew to Salt Lake City. We had a layover in Salt Lake City for an hour or two. Actually ran into a friend who was on a different flight going somewhere else. And we just happened to both be at the airport at the same time. Got to see each other. Then I go to get on the plane. My wife is in front of me. She scans her ticket. No problem. She's going. I scan my ticket and they flag me. Won't let me on the plane. Tell me, go over here to the counter. Wife is looking like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So she stops and comes back over. And then they tell me, we didn't think you were on the flight this morning. Your seat was assigned to someone else. Well, I didn't walk from Missoula to Salt Lake City. I'm here. I was on your plane. What kind of mistake happened there? I mean, from a pain in the butt, especially the way they treated me like it was my fault, which sort of ticked me off. And I wrote a little letter to Delta and I got an apology and a bunch of air miles, because they sort of treated it like it was my fault that I was there and that they had given my seat to someone else. But a security standpoint, it was even more troublesome, because how did they not know I was on their plane and flew from Missoula to Salt Lake and was ready to board the other plane that I paid a ticket for to get to Vegas? How did that person earlier this month get on that plane when his ticket was for a different plane? He just went through without being stopped and checked and so forth. These kind of things happen. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying they happen. And that is why we need to be vigilant, pay attention. And when we see something out of the ordinary that's wrong, not quite right, makes us suspicious, report it to the proper authorities. If you have that feeling that something's wrong, it's not with the baseline of normal behavior, go ahead and report it. It's better to be safe than sorry. Want to say good morning to Dixon. Dixon's here. Dixon says, yeah, sadly, the bulk of psychological patients have been switched to outpatient status that used to be locked up. And we do. We have a lot of people with mental health problems, and we are failing as a society to help some of these people. And violence is happening because of some of these people. Not everybody with mental health problems become violent, but some do. And some of the violence, some of the killings have been done by people who needed help and didn't get the help that they needed. And we need to do better at that, because if we could do better with mental health, and especially helping people that have serious problems, we could reduce some of the violence, some of the killing. That's something we need to do. How do we do that? I don't know. That's not my specialty. I'm not a medical professional. I'm here to help keep people safe. And while I recognize that needs to be done, I don't know how to fix it, but I can help you say, when you recognize it, when you see something different, when it's out of the ordinary, deviates from the baseline, do the things that you need to keep yourself safe. Get out of the area, report it to authorities, take precautions to keep yourself safe. That's what I do know, and that's what I'm going to preach. I hope others that have the expertise in the medical field in some of those areas continue to work to get people help that they need and reduce violence from that side. And I'll keep working on this side, and maybe together we can get things done. But when I read that article this morning, it reminded me of the situation I had with my wife a couple years ago about people getting off planes, on a plane, and they don't think you're there. On a plane, you're not supposed to be there. This kind of thing happens, and it's just imperative that we stay vigilant, pay attention, keep ourselves safe. Sign up for the newsletter, enjoylifesafely.com. Especially if you have students going to college. This week, I'm going to do an article about empowering our students when they go off to college to keep themselves safe. So you don't want to miss that one, especially if you have students that are going to college, about to go to college, or going to go to college soon. Maybe in the next year or two, if you got high school students, get that newsletter, enjoylifesafely.com. You'll be on the list if you download any of the free ebooks. Download them both. And the one actually has 2. So you got 3 free ebooks. Help keep yourself safe. Help you enjoy life and be exceptional. That's what I want with the website. That's what I want with Coffee with Alain. That's what I want for you. To enjoy life safely and be exceptional. Go out. Make it a terrific Thursday. And I'll see you tomorrow.